My warm welcome to this very special installation event. Please be seated. I call upon Professor David Ferguson, Principal of New College, to open this ceremony with a moment of reflection.
Many of you will have made your way here unexpectedly via New College on the Mound. It's there at New College that you have the most visible reminder of the university's 16th century roots in that immovable statue of John Knox in the courtyard. It's not too clear whether his countenance is welcoming or forbidding. Is that outstretched arm a sign of welcome or a gesture of dismissal? Somehow you are never sure. Although today he was neither welcoming nor dismissing you, but only trying helpfully to redirect you to Old College. John Knox died before our university was founded by the Town Council of Edinburgh. But his presence is a reminder of our origins. Our charter was granted a decade later by an even more influential Scot, King James VI, who later made his way to London and in 1611 gave his name to the King James Bible, which we have celebrated this year. One of the many striking verses in that Bible is the opening of Psalm 127. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. That verse is also the motto of the city of Edinburgh. The inscription on its coat of arms, Nisi Dominus Frustra, being drawn from the Latin version. It gives notice that the strength of an institution derives from a shared commitment to a purpose and a set of standards that are not of our own devising and which transcend our individual interests. These include platitudes like truth, community, knowledge, scholarship, and the service of others. Although sought in different ways and sometimes contested, we can hardly be a university without them, and we fail when we disregard them. Perhaps that common purpose is never more apparent than at this time of the year when students arrive from all across the world, having sacrificed much in the hope of what they will achieve here. They remind us of who we are and what we have been doing for several centuries. To that common purpose shared by Crown and Church and City through many generations, we commit ourselves today.
I call upon Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal to rise and step forward. Members of the University, I have the honour to present to you Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal. Her Royal Highness was elected by the General Council of the University in accordance with Ordinance of the University Court number 198, approved by Her Majesty in Council. She now stands before you to assume her robe of office. You now stand before us most properly installed as Chancellor of our university. Congratulations. Thank you. Ian. Shake hands. I now invite the Chancellor to deliver her address.
Vice-Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, I was delighted to be invited, but I'm even more honoured to be elected by members of the General Council as the 8th Chancellor of the University of Edinburgh. And it is a real privilege and a pleasure to address you all here today as Chancellor, following in my father's footsteps. Although I say that advisedly, they are not easy footsteps to follow in. You know better than I do, as we've been reminded of the history of this university. Founded as it was, of course, under Presbyterian auspices, and I think, I have to say, I wonder whether Mr. Knox would entirely appreciate my presence, but I am delighted that the university has taken that step. I've fortunately had many contacts with the University of Edinburgh over many years, and as I had the honour of being presented as an honorary degree in 1993, the pleasure of being patron of the Royal Dick Vet School for over 20 years already. And my relationship with the vet school has given me some insight into all of the marvellous work that the university undertakes, particularly, of course, in veterinary research, the science provided to members of the public, and, of course, in teaching and preparing young people for future careers in this area. Now, as Chancellor, I'll have the opportunity to build on this relationship and to expand my knowledge and explore areas of this great institution that perhaps I'm not so familiar with. I hope during my time as Chancellor, although I suspect it won't be quite the 57 years of my predecessor, but I will really get to know all aspects of life at the university. And of course, the students will feature very highly on this list, and I hope to meet many of you during my visits to the university. But I also hope to gain a greater understanding about the many everyday activities that take place at Edinburgh, the pioneering academic research that is conducted across the 22 schools, your international activities and partnerships, the imaginative rebuilding of your estate to make it fit for modern needs, your links with industry, the contribution of alumni and supporters, and of course getting to know the staff. And this impressive ceremony is in the heart of the university and this beautifully restored quadrangle. And in this city of Edinburgh, it serves to remind us all of the history and traditions of the University of Edinburgh. The university has for over 4 centuries made a huge contribution to the economic and social well-being of society that stretches way beyond the boundaries of Scotland and indeed the United Kingdom. When you look back and consider the great names that we are all so familiar with, such as David Hume, Darwin, Simpson, Lister, James Clerk Maxwell, James Hutton, Conan Doyle, Joseph Black, Robert Louis Stevenson, and Walter Scott. And if I may add, and rather presumptively, women such as Sophia Jex-Blake and Crystal Macmillan, of course, the first scientist, who I think it'd be worth reminding people fought a battle in the House of Lords for the voting rights of female students. And perhaps I might add, rather more pertinently, a certain J.K. Rowling who's with us today. Oh, the rest of us could be forgiven for being somewhat overawed. But what always strikes me when I meet students and staff from across the university is the real sense of pride that this shared history brings to the institution. This sense of pride creates an inspiring environment, a place where ideas are formed and nurtured, where great things can and will be achieved. This is, of course, exactly what a great university should do. and I'm delighted that I'm now in a position to be part of that community. It would be difficult to make an address such as this without mentioning my predecessor. I know from my own visits and our discussions about those visits just how much he enjoyed being Chancellor of this university, how much there was to find that inspired him, the work that you did, and the challenges that you faced. And he has seen huge changes, not necessarily the physical changes, but the changes that have come with the place that the university has in society. Information technology and the internet have fundamentally altered the relationship between further education and teaching, but between information and knowledge. Is all information knowledge? Please discuss. Possibly not today. But he really enjoyed those challenges, and he really enjoyed asking the questions. And I hope helping people to even look further, to broaden their minds to the art of the possible and what is really important. What is really important for this university, that it responds to those challenges, but above all, it maintains the confidence in learning, and that learning is for all ages, that it never stops, that it is about learning throughout your life. But it is about standards and confidence in qualities of standards. The University of Edinburgh has a reputation and respect far beyond Scotland, and it's that reputation and respect, the confidence that that gives, which is so important to it now, and I'm sure, and will be in the future, and all that you do to maintain it. So thank you once again for allowing me to be part of that. I really do look forward to seeing much more of the university and to seeing how it copes and how it challenges the future in the way that it's challenged its past. Thank you.
It's a wonderful speech. That was very good. I call upon Dr. Alan Brown, convener of the Business Committee of the General Council, to propose a vote of thanks.
Your Royal Highness and Chancellor, as convener of the Business Committee of the General Council, I have the honour on behalf of the University and the General Council of thanking you for your most gracious and inspiring address. As you know, the General Council consists of over 160,000 graduates, the academic body, and the University Court. Since 1858, when the General Councils were established for the four ancient Scottish universities of Edinburgh, Glasgow, St Andrews and Aberdeen, we have had the statutory right to comment on matters affecting the well-being of the university. Another has been to elect the Chancellor of the university. We have not been required to carry out this task for the last 57 years, because, as you also know, His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh was elected Chancellor in 1953 and stood down at the end of last year after those many years of distinguished and, as you said, enjoyable service. As convener of the Business Committee, I had the privilege of proposing your nomination, which was seconded by the Vice-Convener, Dr. Francis Dow. The university community is delighted by your election and now by your installation. This celebration has come at a most appropriate time for University of Edinburgh, which is consistently ranked among the leading universities in the United Kingdom and worldwide. This is because of the very high quality of our student body, the academic and support staff, and also senior management, which is most ably led by our Principal and Vice-Chancellor, Sir Timothy O'Shea. Therefore, Your Royal Highness, you are joining this community at an important and auspicious time in its history. We are living in difficult times economically, and particularly for higher education sector. But this university is well placed to come through the problems which lie ahead. Also, with your recognized and much appreciated enthusiasm and concern for many issues affecting Scottish life, we are certain that your contribution to this great establishment will further enhance its progress in the years to come. Chancellor, I mentioned earlier that your father gave 57 years of devoted and unstinting commitment to this university, which was much appreciated. On behalf of this Assembly and the whole university, I wish you a long, equally enjoyable and productive association with this great institution. However, if you decide not to attempt to equal his 57 years in office, we will understand. Thank you.
Very good speech. I call upon Dr. John Kitchen and the University Choir, who will sing Gaudeamus Igitur. Very good.
Gaudeamus Igitur, Juvenes dulcimus. Gaudeamus Igitur, Juvenes dulcimus. Post jucundam juventutem, post molestam senectutem, nos habebitur, nos habebitur. Vivat Academia, vivat professores, vivat Academia, vivat professores, vivat membrum qualibet, vivat membra qualibet, semper sit in glore, semper sit in glore.
I would like to thank John Kitchen and the choir. Thank you very much. I call upon Professor Sir John Saville to present the award of University Benefactor.
Madam Chancellor, in the name and by the authority of the University Court, I have the honour to present for the bestowal of the distinction of University Benefactor, Joanne Kathleen Rowling. Jo Rowling needs hardly any introduction. She is the author of one of the most successful series of books ever written, and her stories are loved by children and adults alike all over the world. Jo started writing the Harry Potter series during a delayed Manchester to London train journey and continued in coffee shops here in the heart of Edinburgh. The final book in the series, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, was the fastest-selling book in both the UK and the USA, with sales well over 400 million copies worldwide. Jo is a remarkable author who has achieved several international distinctions, including Order of the British Empire in 2001, Chevalier de la Légion d'honneur from France in 2009, and honorary degrees from several universities across the world, including the University of Edinburgh and Harvard, USA. But perhaps most enviable of all, she was awarded in 2007 a Blue Peter Gold Badge. However, it is not for her writing achievements that we honour her today. J.K. Rowling has supported a wide number of charities and causes, including Comic Relief, the Magis Centres for Cancer Care, and Médecins Sans Frontières. She founded and is actively involved in the charity Lumos, previously known as the Children's High-Level Group, which aims to make life better for young people in care worldwide. And she is also honorary president of Gingerbread, a charity working with lone parents and their children. Jo has also set up the Volant Charitable Trust, named after her mother's family, to support a wide number of causes, particularly where social deprivation affects women and children. In 2010, Jo Rowling made a donation of £10 million to the University of Edinburgh to establish the Anne Rowling Regenerative Neurology Clinic. The clinic is named after Jo's mother, Anne, who died after complications related to multiple sclerosis at the age of only 45, the age at which Jo made this most significant gift to Edinburgh. While multiple sclerosis will be at the heart of the research initiative, people with many other diseases caused by neurodegeneration, such as motor neurone disease, are likely to benefit from discoveries made here. All neurodegenerative disorders are progressive and currently incurable. The work we are conducting in these areas could have a profound and lasting effect on hundreds of thousands of patients and their families worldwide. At the time of making this transformative gift to the university, Jo also gave us the following quotation about her mother. "I know that she would rather have had her name on this clinic than any statue, flower garden, or commemorative plaque. So this donation is on her behalf too, and in gratitude for everything she gave me in her far too short life." Jo went on, "I cannot think of anything more important or of more lasting value than to help the university attract world-class minds in the field of neuroregeneration." Madam Chancellor, this is a wonderful and most remarkable act of philanthropy. In recognition of the major impact that this gift will make to the University of Edinburgh and the hope it has already given to thousands of people with incurable diseases, I invite you to bestow upon Dr. Joanne Kathleen Rowling the distinction of University Benefactor.
I now call upon Vice Principal Professor Mary Bounds to present an award of University Benefactor.
Madam Chancellor, in the name and by the authority of the University Court, I have the honour to present for the bestowal of the distinction of University Benefactors, Mr. Hugh Langmuir and Mrs. Jocelyn Langmuir. Hugh Langmuir gained his MA in History from the University of Edinburgh in 1978. He was awarded the Charles Stewart Pennell Prize as the most distinguished student in European history. He was remembered recently by a former tutor, Emeritus Professor Harry Dickinson, who wrote that he was the most independent-minded and inquisitive undergraduate I have ever taught. During his undergraduate years, he also made time to become involved in the Students' Association and spent a year as a convener of the Students' Representative Council. Hugh subsequently built on his Edinburgh MA with a Frank Knox Fellowship and AM from Harvard and an MSc from the London Business School. His career began in London and Paris, first with banking giant Citicorp, and then as a member of the global strategic management consultancy Bain & Co. In 1991, he was appointed as director of Cinven, the European private equity firm founded from the former venture capital arm of the British Coal Pension Fund. With offices in London, Paris, Frankfurt, Milan, and Hong Kong, Cinven is one of the world's leading investors in alternative assets, with over 10 billion of funds under management. He established and managed the firm's Paris office from 2001 until 2009. He then returned to London, having been elected by his fellow partners to take over the role of managing partner, responsible for the execution of Cinven's strategy, its day-to-day management, and the investment and realization of its current funds. Hugh evidently put his studies in European history at Edinburgh to good use by forging his own version of the old alliance between his native Scotland and France. In 1983, he married Jocelyn, a graduate of ENAP and Paris-Nanterre University, and thereby formed an enduring partnership which is in some measure expressed through their joint bequest. Hugh and Jocelyn have 3 sons, one of whom is an Edinburgh graduate. Hugh and Jocelyn Langmuir are not only benefiting the university now, but also in the future with a pledge in their legacy. They embody the intentions of an earlier benefactor, Thomas Carlyle. Carlyle, one of the foremost thinkers of the 19th century and a former rector of the university, wrote in his will, "And so may a little trace of help to the young heroic souls struggling for what is the highest spring from this arrangement and bequest." Madam Chancellor, in recognition of their generous contribution and ongoing commitment to the University of Edinburgh, I now invite you to bestow upon Mr. Hugh Langmuir and Mrs. Jocelyn Langmuir the distinction of University Benefactor.
I call upon Senior Vice Principal Professor Nigel Brown to present a candidate for an honorary degree.
Madam Chancellor, in the name and by the authority of the Senatus Academicus, I have the honour to present for the honorary degree of Doctor Honoris Causa, Lord Wilson of Tilliorn. We are honouring Lord Wilson today because of his distinguished record as a diplomat and for his significant contribution to Scotland through education, commerce, and culture. David Clive Wilson was born in Alloa, the son of a clergyman, and went to school at Trinity College, Glenalmond. Following national service in the Black Watch, he attended Keble College, Oxford, and then joined the Foreign Office and served in Laos before going on to study Chinese at the University of Hong Kong. He was the first member of the Foreign Office to persuade his reluctant masters that it was better to study a language in the country rather than back in the UK, and he lived with a Chinese family to develop his language skills. Later, as a mature student, he completed a PhD in contemporary Chinese history at the University of London, during which time he also edited the China Quarterly and spent a period as a visiting scholar at Columbia University. He has served in a variety of posts in the diplomatic service, including that of political advisor to the Governor of Hong Kong from 1977 to 1981, when he also took part in the successful British expedition to Mount Kongwa in Chinese Central Asia. He led the drafting and action on the 1984 Sino-British Joint Declaration on Hong Kong, and was himself appointed governor between 1987 and 1992. His time as governor of Hong Kong was a fascinating and a distinguished one, coinciding with the Tiananmen Square protests in China and the build-up to the return of Hong Kong to Chinese sovereignty. Significantly and controversially, he introduced democratic elections to the Hong Kong Legislative Council. And in 1989, he proposed the building of the new airport, for which those of us who have ever flown into the old Kai Tak airport will always be grateful. Such was his popularity in Hong Kong that he has a 78-kilometre hiking trail, the Wilson Trail, named after him. And I was told earlier today that it's actually quite difficult to keep up with him on that trail. David Wilson was created a Life Peer in 1992 and a Knight of the Thistle in 2000. His retirement from the diplomatic service was the start of another series of distinguished roles, including Chairman of Scottish Hydroelectric and Council Member of CBI Scotland. During 2002 to 2008, as Master of Peterhouse, Cambridge, he and Lady Wilson were known for their involvement and concern for the student body. Students frequently been invited to the Master's Lodge. This care and compassion is also shown through their work with one of their sons, who is a vicar in a tough London parish, where they help out at times with his pastoral work. Lord Wilson has been Chancellor of the University of Aberdeen since 1997 and is currently Chairman of Council of St. Paul's Cathedral, Lord High Commissioner to the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland, and has been President of the Royal Society of Edinburgh since 2008. During this presidency, he has overseen the development of many aspects of the work of Scotland's National Academy of Science and Letters, including the recent creation of the Young Academy for individuals showing great promise early in their professions. Madam Chancellor, I now invite you to confer on Lord Wilson of Tillion the honorary degree of Doctor Honoris Causa.
Chancellor, Your Royal Highness, Vice-Chancellor, Principal, members of the University, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Brown, you mentioned the fact that I was born just across the Firth of Forth, so Edinburgh isn't quite my native city, but it almost is. And I also lived here for part of my boyhood, and my wife Natasha and I have enjoyed being in the new town since returning to Britain after working abroad some 20 years ago. So I can, with a great deal of honesty, say that it is a very great pleasure indeed to receive a degree from the University of my almost native city, one of the ancient universities of Scotland and one of the great universities of the United Kingdom. What is it that makes for a great university? Brilliance in research, yes, certainly that. A way of teaching that puts bright young people directly in contact with learned and innovative minds from an older generation, yes, certainly. A place where those young people from many different backgrounds mix together and learn from each other, yes, that too. And a place which has a sense of history combined with modern ambitions, yes, and that too. And Edinburgh has all of these. Edinburgh also has a Confucius Institute to promote the study of China and the Chinese language. For several years now, it's been rated the best such institute anywhere. So perhaps I should quote the first lines of the sayings of Confucius, the Confucian Analects. Is it not pleasant to learn with a constant perseverance and application? Well, yes, but a university can and should be fun also. And everything I hear suggests that that also is true of the University of Edinburgh. Chancellor, it is a very great pleasure to be made an honorary member of this university. And it's a very great honor to be your first honorary graduate. Thank you.
I call again upon Dr. John Kitchen and the University Choir, who will sing Flow Gently, Sweet Afton, and the Berks of Aberfeldy.
Flow gently, sweet Afton, among thy green braes. Flow gently, I'll sing thee a song in thy praise. My Mary's asleep by thy murmuring stream. Flow gently, sweet Afton, disturb not her dream. How pleasant thy banks and green valleys below, where wild in the woodland the primroses blow. There oft as mild evening sweeps over the lea, the sweet-scented bird shades my Mary and me. Flow gently, sweet Afton, among thy green braes. Flow gently, sweet river, the theme of my lays. My Mary's asleep by thy murmuring stream. Flow gently, sweet Afton, disturb not her dream. Bonny lassie, will ye go? Will ye go? Will ye go? Bonny lassie, will ye go to the Berks of Aberfeldy? Now simmer blinks on flowery braes and o'er the crystal streamlets blaze. Come, let us send the leaves and rest we love thee in the parks of Aberfeldy. Bonny lassie, will ye go, will ye go, will ye go? Bonny lassie, will ye go to the parks of Aberfeldy?
Let me conclude this installation ceremony by offering some sincere thanks. We are so very appreciative of the many great qualities of our new Chancellor. We thank her for her willingness to serve our university. I thank the choir, the uniformed staff and the registry for the organisation of this most splendid ceremony. I thank the students, my colleagues, and especially the graduates and the supporters of the university for their presence here. Please join me in applauding our new Chancellor again. I call upon the Reverend Dr. Harriet Harris, University Chaplain, to pronounce a benediction.
We give thanks for our new Chancellor, our benefactors and honorary graduates, and with them we remember all those who through love and labour have made this university a house of fruitful study, discovery and endeavour. May we follow their example, embracing truth and desiring wisdom, walking humbly and living courteously, finding courage and growing in compassion for our good and the good of all the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem.
Save our gracious Queen, long live our noble Queen, God save the Queen. Send her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the Queen.
I now invite the Chancellor to unveil the lawn and stone courtyard here at Old College. Madam Chancellor, Madam Chancellor, distinguished guests, students, colleagues, I now invite the Chancellor to undertake her first duty in her new role. We stand in a historic part of the university, which is where the university was originally founded and where this building was initiated in 1789. This old college, an inspiring Georgian building, built to encapsulate the very spirit of the Scottish Enlightenment, was designed by university alumnus Robert Adam. Adam died before completion of the building, and William Playfair was appointed to work on the interiors and finish the build. When in 1835 the finances for the ambitious project ran out, so this quadrangle was left in a state which did not reflect the grandeur of the rest of the building. That is until now. The aim of our project was to complete the quadrangle with an interpretation of what Adam and Playfair might have done. I have to say this vision has been realized perfectly, as the completion of the quadrangle has been done to such high standards and brought new life to this historic and wonderful space. One can really see future generations of students being inspired by these surroundings, and I have been really delighted by the many students and colleagues who have already commented to me about how wonderful the place looks. The building work itself has unveiled some real historical finds. Archaeologists unearthed remnants of the buildings close to the spot where Henry Stuart, Lord Darnley, the second husband of Mary, Queen of Scots, was murdered, and that's in the southwest corner over there, and artifacts from the great chemist Joseph Black's laboratory around down there. The university is very, very thankful for the generous donation that has made the transformation possible, and also for the great skill of all those involved in the project. I'm now about to kickstart the Chancellor's tally for a number of plaques by asking her to formally open the new lawn and stone courtyard.
Choice of two, keep it simple. Thank you.
So do you want to say anything? Or?
Where are you going to put this?
Where's it going? Anybody know?
Because
Mary?
in due time, they'll find somewhere to put the plaque. It's the moving plaque syndrome at this precise moment. But having said that, what an appropriate time to restore, reopen this quadrangle in the way in which it's been done. And although it is a reflection, and you have found out a lot more about your past from this exercise, it is very much about the future and establishing that firm base for the future. And I hope thousands more students will come to enjoy these surroundings to succeed those who've gone and set some pretty high standards before them. So please enjoy.
I now invite all guests to have some refreshments while the benefactors and honorary graduands sign official university documents. And we shall be returning to you shortly. Thank you.
This production is copyright the University of Edinburgh.